Rasmus Højlund, a name you may not have even known just 7 days ago. However, after 5 goals in 2 games for Denmark, with a hat-trick against Finland and a brace against Kazakhstan, Højlund has kind of propelled himself onto the main stage. And of course, when that happens for a 20-year-old striker, everyone is instantly looking at him going, should they play for my club? United fans are doing it, of course United need a striker. So let's talk a bit about Rasmus Højlund today. What's he good at, what's he bad at, a bit of a profile, and yeah, we're going to go from there. This isn't going to be the most in-depth video we ever do, because, like everyone else, I need to watch him more as well and kind of learn more about him. However, we can kind of get a brief idea from this video, give you guys some context to then go off and watch him. So, let's talk about Rasmus Højlund. Like I said, 20 years old, currently playing for Denmark over the last couple of weeks, but also Atalanta since the summer. Left-footed, over 6 foot tall, about 6'2". This guy is a physical beast, and he really fits kind of that trend of striker we're seeing at the moment. We've got the likes of Gianluca Scamacca, we've got Darwin Núñez, Erling Haaland, players like that, even someone like Weghorst, even to be fair, Sasa Kalajic, Evan Ferguson, Victor Osimhen, these big strikers who are actually technically very good with the ball at their feet. And Rasmus Højlund kind of fits that mould. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. But before we get into, what he wants to do on the pitch, a brief history. This guy has moved about a lot in his career already. In the last 6 years, going back to when he was 14 years old, he's been moving about. We can see here that he's been in various different youth academies before kind of settling at Copenhagen. However, he didn't really stay there very long, a couple of years. However, he then felt that he needed a move. He felt like he was stalling, things had got a bit stale. So we got the room to Sturm Graz, where he done them well, got a £17 million move to Atalanta, and has been having a good season this year, which is now attracting all this interest. So that's kind of a rough idea of his career path, what he's done so far. In terms of more statistically as a player, this is his kind of basic FBref report. We can see that there aren't really any areas where he is standing out drastically. However, in terms of on the ball, it also doesn't look like there's too many clear weaknesses either. Sometimes we'll see a report like this and a player's pass percentage will be super low, or their take-on, something like that. Doesn't appear to be the case with Højlund, so that's a good start. And just to kind of give you guys an idea before we actually get into it, I've seen a lot of comparisons to the likes of Haaland and Vlahovic, particularly the Fiorentina version of Vlahovic, if you like, who was scoring a lot of goals. So let's look at what he does on the pitch. Are these kind of comparisons accurate? Let's have a look. So the first thing I want to talk about is actually something which doesn't make Højlund look too much like Haaland or Vlahovic, because Højlund is actually very complete and very good at coming towards the ball. Haaland and Vlahovic tend to stretch the defence a bit more or play as a target man. Højlund likes to drop a little bit deeper, kind of link the play. In his earlier days, he was dropping more to the left-hand side. These days, he's got a bit more balance, whether he's dropping left, right or centre. But he does want to come into these areas, get the ball into feet and kind of link the play from there. And if we look at his passing FBref report, to an extent this kind of backs it up. Now again, there aren't too many numbers here which really stand out as being great, but I think importantly, they're not bad numbers either, particularly with short passing near the top here. We can see passes completed in terms of short passes, 10.4 per 90, out of about 13.2 which he's attempting, which is 78.7% completion rate, which is actually pretty decent. It's not top level, clearly it's not, it ranks in the 64th percentile, but it is a decent little area for him to be a decent number for him to be putting out. If we look lower down, we can see the 81st percentile for key passes, which is interesting, we'll come back onto that. And also the 68th percentile for progressive passes, which kind of these numbers suggest that he may not be a typical target man. And I think that is the case. He does want to come into these areas and link the play with the ball at his feet. What he also likes to do in these areas is kind of drag opposition defenders out of position to try and create room for someone else. What we often see at Atalanta is he is actually playing in a front two. He rarely plays as a solo striker. So often he will have a strike partner, and Højlund will be the one that drops a little bit deeper, tries to link the play, creating this room in behind for his teammate, his partner, to run into. And whilst we won't see Højlund in a front two if he was to join Manchester United, you could still get the dynamic of Højlund creating space for Rashford to run in behind. So that's an interesting side to Højlund's game. We know that Ten Hag likes this sort of striker, someone who can come a bit deeper, link the play with his passing. For me, I think Højlund ticks that box. I don't think he's great at it, he's not elite at it. However, I think the fundamentals are there. Technically, he looks quite secure. I think he could grow into being actually really quite decent at this. I want to talk to you about an amazing tool to help you become a more composed and confident footballer. Be Your Best is football training in virtual reality. Developed by experts in Norway, it's the perfect way to improve cognitive performance, improving scanning, decision making and memory from anywhere in the world. In Be Your Best, you will go through over 800 scenarios recreated from professional games, a bit like this one from Luka Modric. You'll play from his point of view and receive feedback for your performance along the way. Be Your Best is used by athletes from all around the world, with Arsenal star Martin Odegaard using it in his return from injury, and it's also backed by science, with a recent 9-week study seeing players increase their scan rate by a staggering 28%, and now you can get 20% off your first month or year by using code HUB20 at checkout. So make sure to use BeYourBest.com or use the link in the description. This willingness to drop deeper is also sort of reflected in his heat map as well. You know, we're not seeing him drop too deep. He's kind of got a nice balance though. Yes, he's getting forward, getting into the box as we can see, but also he is dropping into these little half spaces, into these little slightly deeper areas to try and link the play of his teammates, and that's something I like to see. In terms of what he could do a little bit more maybe from these areas is be a bit more forward with his passing once he's got into this position. So he'll get into this area, but typically it tends to be a safe pass to someone like Bruno Fernandes, whereas perhaps the better strikers, Harry Kane, but even Anthony Martial, tend to get on a turn a bit more and then try and look to play someone forward. So Højlund will create the room for others. He's not necessarily the one to then play it through. So he's a linking striker. I wouldn't say he's a creative striker. I wouldn't say he's going to drop in and like constantly feed balls into a channel. Not really his game. However, kind of comfortable short passing, very good at that. What he is actually also quite good at in this area is his dribbling. Now, again, Højlund isn't particularly skillful, you know, we're not going to see kind of tight turns in these areas. It seems unlikely for a 6'2" striker. However, what we do see is very efficient ball carrying. A bit like Haaland at times. It may not be the most aesthetically pleasing ball carrying, however, because of his size, his power, the speed, it is very, very effective. And again, I believe we should have the numbers to back it up if I can find it in his EpiRef report here. Take ons attempted, 3.3 per 90, putting him in the 90th percentile, but also carries into the penalty area, the 89th percentile, but even just carries into the final third, the 72nd, progressive carries to 71st percentile. These are all very decent rankings, and again, we're not necessarily seeing too many standout things. However, what we are being very much pointed in the direction of is a very complete striker who can do a little bit of everything, and his ball carrying on the counter-attack in particular is very, very good. Very, very good. There's a lot of times someone like Bruno Fernandes might make a run and kind of drag a player. Højlund then kind of uses that. Other players might then play the pass for this sort of run. Højlund then tends to kind of use that as a decoy and instead carry the ball forward himself. And again, he's really powerful in these situations. I think he could improve his decision making at times because, you know, at times the decision there is the through ball. That is what you should be going for. Højlund doesn't do that enough. However, again, we're seeing that fundamentally he is very technically secure, has a little bit of everything in his locker basically. He can also be a bit of a target man, not necessarily his strength. However, at 6'2" and a big build, he does offer it. And in general, I think for United trying to build up in the first phase, but also play counter-attacking football, Højlund looks like he's ready for it, like he could do it. As well as kind of contributing to the counter-attack by coming a bit deeper and linking the play or making room for others, Højlund is also more than comfortable going in behind the other way. And again, this is where for me there is a big Haaland comparison, where deceptively quick. You kind of see him, he looks a bit clunky, his run style isn't the most efficient run style, you know, in terms of those that would do gate analysis, things like that, he's not perfect. However, like Haaland, when he gets going, I would not want to be stopping him get to the ball. There's a clip in the Serie A, I can't remember who it was against, but he gives the defender, the centre-back, about a 10-yard head start. The ball gets put into this channel, and Højlund just eats up the ground, and gets there so easily. He didn't actually score that particular chance. But again, what was frightening was how quickly he got there. This guy is absolutely rapid. And again, he kind of fits that bit of a modern day striker thing of Haaland, Osimhen, these big strikers which are also very, very quick. And therefore, just really difficult to deal with. So again, on the counter-attack, a real big threat. Of course, it's all well and good being this big threat on the counter-attack and linking the play nicely, but a striker needs to score goals. The question is, where does he get his goals from? Where does he operate? What's his movement like in the final third? Well, initially, again, this is something that we would be able to talk about more in the future when I've watched him a little bit more. However, we can get a rough idea that this guy, yes, he wants to kind of drop deep and do the link play out here. However, when his team are in the danger area, he is in the danger area. He's not someone to kind of sit on the edge of the box and wait and watch things happen. He wants to get himself in the box, in the mixer, because again, that's where the best goal scorers get their goals from. And we can see from his shot map, that one, maybe two if you class that one right on the edge outside the box. The rest of them are in the danger area. Again, we've kind of got this slight trend of being on the left side. That's probably because he's left-footed, so he's kind of running across his man, getting the shot off on his left foot. But again, what we can see is he's a bit of a poacher, a bit of a fox in the box, and I will come back onto that in just a second. But I think that when we look at his movement in a second, but also further along in the future, his movement is really very good. And again, this is something which Ten Hag and United want. Ten Hag has always been a manager which likes to get either cutbacks into the box or crosses into the box. To do that, you need a striker which is going to feed off that. Højlund, again, does look like he can be that. And again, from this map, we can see that he is getting into those dangerous areas. He doesn't just admire the work he's done outside the box, he's then hungry to get inside. And as a result, this season he scored 7 goals from an XG of 5.83. Now, you know, that's an average kind of overperformance. That's what we expect from a good striker. It's not elite. You know, if we're talking about Haaland at 20 years old, the numbers were very different. However, Haaland's a freak. Haaland is abnormal. Haaland is Haaland, generational. However, Højlund still these are decent numbers for like kind of his breakthrough season in the Serie A. So again, they're decent. But what I want to look at now, actually, instead of going through this, is look at a couple of his goals, actually all 3 of his goals from his hat-trick against Finland, to get an idea of his movement. We can see that throughout the pitch he is contributing to his team and genuinely looks quite complete and in the build of a modern day striker. But I also just want to look at his movement because it's that which impresses me a little bit more. So to check out some of his goals from that hat-trick, we are going to use Once Video Analyzer Pro, a really good football analysis software which you guys can check out using the link in the description down below. I really do recommend it. And what it's going to allow us to do today is look at some of these goals. We can see him in the middle here. And first things first, we can see that, you know, his team's getting into a good area. Where does he want to be? He wants to be in the middle where he knows that he can get into dangerous positions. You know, he's playing within the width of the box because that's where the goals come from. And if we kind of let his movement play out here, so let's just let it play out for a second. Here, this is the dart. This is the dart that he's going to make across his man. This is where in the box as a striker and a centre-back, you're kind of playing cat and mouse. You can see that we've got Højlund here. And he's just kind of got his defender in front of him. He's got his defender where he wants him. However, what he is now going to do is make a dart across the man. And, of course, the centre-back in this situation, he's in a really awkward position. Now, he's got himself side on, which is good. However, what he's done is very much slowed down the kind of the rate at which his feet are moving. So, you know, he's walking almost, jogging. Whereas Højlund here is sprinting. So he's got the momentum going into this. And this makes it very, very difficult for the defender to deal with. Now what Højlund is going to do is accelerate, slow down, and then go again. Let's just watch that little bit of movement. Just watch this bit of movement again. I'll slow it down for you if I can. Let's watch our man here. Hang on, let me just highlight him for a second. Here, this is who we're watching, okay? So if we take it back. He makes his sprint towards the box. We can see that he's getting into the danger area. However, what he is then going to do is just slow down and peel backwards slightly. And then he goes in again. He stops, that kind of, again, it kind of shifts the defender, then he makes that dart across the near post, and that is why he scores this goal. Because if we now watch it at full speed, let's go back to it real quick, if we watch it at full speed, we can see that this change of pace, just completely does the defender. So let's just watch it back here, he sprints, he's going to slow down, and then sprint again, and that is what he's going to do as defender. So let's just watch it back. He sprints in, stops, and then sprints again, and that is what gets him across his man, and in the end it's actually a really good finish, which I really, really like. The next goal here is a bit more a simple one. The corner's going to come in, and it's going to go over Højlund here. However, what this really reminds me of is Erling Haaland. I can't remember the game which I was covering recently, but I believe Haaland's got a hat-trick in it, and something I was pointing out was that even when the ball goes past him, his first thought is, this ball is going to come back out, I can get on the second ball, I can put the ball in the back of the net. His kind of thought process is always front-footed, where's this ball going to land, where do I need to be to make sure it goes in the net. And again, we can see it here, the ball is going to come across the box, go over him, but he reacts first. So let's just let it play out. Gets headed down here, he is first to react and gets this ball in the back of the net. So again, it's kind of that same thing, it's very similar to Erling Haaland. It's movement in the box. I will just go back to it real quick if I can, 1 second. So again, just to recap, we've got him marked here. The ball's going to come into the box. It goes over him. But again, just watch closely what he does. The ball comes into the box, and genuinely he just reacts faster than anyone else. He's anticipating where this ball is going to go. As it gets headed across, his movement is towards the goal. And again, that is what makes a difference, and that is what gets you these goals as a striker. You know, it's not about the big finishes from 30 yards out. It's these little sniffed out chances. Fox in the box nature. I also quite like the third goal as well. We've got him kind of standing on the edge of the box here, not really paying too much attention. And in the bottom left corner we've got here, his winger is going to do a bit of dribbling. But if we just watch Højlund, he's not doing too much, right? He's just kind of pondering about there, waiting for something to happen. Something happens. The winger does really well down this side, beats his man, and if we just keep an eye on Højlund, what he's going to do once again is make this movement into this area. He's always trying to get across his man, but change his movement. He's going quick and then slowing down and then stopping and then checking one way, checking the other way. It's just subtle little bits of movement, which when you're a defender, you see it out the corner of your eye, it completely kind of changes what you're going to do. And it might be the slightest thing. This little drop of a shoulder from him in this area, what it might do is just change the defender's footwork. And that, at this level, is enough to give him the advantage that he needs to get across his man or behind his man, whatever it may be in that situation. Here we can see it's quite a simple check. This is poor defensively, but it is also good movement. He's just going to move into this area. The defender goes this way, and he comes this way. The ball's going to come into this area here. Again, it's good movement, it's good awareness, and, you know, it makes it a very easy pass for his teammate to play to him. And again, you know, it's just very, very good. It's very easy for him. It's quite straightforward, but it's his movement in the box at such a young age to kind of have that instinct already. This is what could set him up for a really good career. It's what could set him up long term, being a goal scorer, which scores just a lot of goals. These finishes, I mean, the footwork is nice as well. He gets the shot off well, but for me, it's the movement which really, really excites me. All in all, I think you can see that Højlund looks like a really good, young, exciting striker. We're going to have to wait and see kind of the finer details, what he can do in the long term. Like I said, I haven't watched too much of him. However, what we're seeing early on is really promising. So, over the rest of the season, I'm going to make sure to watch even more of Atalanta because clearly they're worth watching if you've got a young striker like this. He could get a big move in the summer. Apparently, Fabrizio Romano doesn't think it's likely. However, keep your eye on it, keep your eye on him. Let me know what you think. Some of you guys might know a bit more than I do, so let me know what you think in the comments down below. Maybe some weaknesses could be interesting. Let me know, though, what you think in the comment section down below. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the video, and as always, I will see you in the next one.